Hey everybody, this is Michael Bryson for This is Bodybuilding. I'm here again with Gregory Ulysse. How you doing, Greg?
Very good, very good.
Awesome. We're going to just do a quick sort of review, a recap of the Arnold Classic that just went down this weekend. What an amazing contest. It was awesome.
It was a great show. I mean, it was a great show. It turned out to be a lot different than what we expected.
Yes.
But in a good way.
Yeah, it was surprising in a number of ways. We'll quickly kind of go through all the other divisions and then get to men's bodybuilding, which I know is what everyone wants to talk about. But all of these divisions, these four divisions, were packed with top talent, and everyone delivered, I thought. In the women's fitness division, we saw Missy Truscott defend her title. She's now a two-time Ms. International and heading into the Olympia in a couple weeks. I think is hands down the favorite to win.
Oh, she is. I mean, she killed the routine. She dedicated it to John. I mean, right now she owns that class now, and she beat Oksana, who we know she was probably the greatest of all time.
Right.
And she just killed it physically, and the routine. Basically, she had both sides of the show done great. Very
good.
Yeah.
In the physique round, I thought the physique round was good. She looked amazing. Ariel Kadar looked awesome as well. There was only actually, looking at the scorecard here, a 1 point difference between the two. That's pretty interesting.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
because they're two different bodies, very different.
But Ariel had great definition. She's got nice bellies. Her structure isn't as perfect as Missy's is. Missy's perfect, and her definition was. I mean, she looked phenomenal. I don't think there's ever been a physique on a fitness woman competitor on that level ever.
No.
And I want to see Jacqueline Baker placed third.
Yes.
In the figure round, her in the physique category, and that for her was a huge jump forward because physique for her was not. She was never. I don't think she's ever been a top three in one of the major contests before. So that was pretty good. But she ended up placing fourth as Oksana Krishina, who had placed beneath her in the physique round, catapulted herself ahead in the.
And Oksana did a good thing. The Joker thing, she had a good routine. She redone the Joker that she did before. Yeah, she did good.
Yeah, I agree. In the routine round, of course, we still had Missy took that round, then Oksana, and then was Ariel, and then I'm going to mispronounce her name. Arika?
Arika, yeah.
Yes, so she's from Russia, I believe. Well, it says USA here now, but I think she's originally from Russia, somewhere in that area of the world. They placed her ahead of Jacqueline Baker in the routine round, which I didn't really agree with. I really thought Jacqueline's routine was awesome, but Jacqueline still placed fourth ahead of her because she had beaten her so badly by more points in the physique round. Great show. I think we're going to see the same top four at the Olympia. If I'm not sure, Whitney Jones tested positive for COVID, I think the day of or day before the contest. Okay. I don't know if she's going to be
allowed.
Well, or I don't know if she's going to be training for these 2 weeks or what. So I don't know if she's there. Of course, she's going to make it in the top five as well. But other than that, I think we're going to kind of see a repeat at the Olympia. What do you think?
Missy I think Missy is the odds-on favorite to win, and I don't think in 2 weeks we're going to see a big change. What we saw at the Arnold will probably look a lot like what's going to happen at the Olympia. I mean, unless something drastic changes, I think Missy has a very a stranglehold on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know Oksana had taken the sport or the division to a new level when she was champion in terms of artistic expression and everything. And she's a great athlete. But I think Missy has taken it to a new level, even for physique and her athleticism in her routines. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, you know what? The difference I would say between the two, Oksana was giving a performance. I mean, Missy is more athletic, more athletic, stronger, more athletic. And they're hard because when you see Oksana, it's like basically going at a play. It's not the same, you know? But Missy has so much power and her physique is so great. It's getting it into a different kind of routine there. But Oksana is still great to watch. I mean, you know.
Yeah, in professional wrestling ways, it's like Oksana tells a great story in the ring. You know, if this is a professional wrestling match,
great storytelling.
And Missy hits the high spots. Like,
exactly. Oh yeah, exactly.
Incredible.
Well, she was okay. You know what? If we put it like that, Oksana's Brett. She's storytelling.
Oksana's Brett. Missy is Shawn Michaels.
It's Shawn Michaels. There you go. Exactly. Perfect.
Oh, okay. I might be lost on the non-professional wrestling fans of the 90s. But that's how it is. Going into bikini, I really thought all the women looked amazing in bikini, and the top 4 of the show I thought were fantastic. I had a slightly different order of the competitors, though. In the top 4, they had Jennifer Dory, who looked amazing, won the show. In second place was last year's winner, Issa Piscini.
Yeah.
Third was Laura Lee. And fourth was Ashley Kaltwalser. To my eye, now I'm watching this on computer screen, you know, I'm not there in person, but to my eye, Issa and Laura Lee were very competitive, very similar in their physiques in a way. And I thought Ashley and Jennifer were very similar to each other in a way. Like, I thought their conditioning levels were similar. At least that's how it appeared to me. So I don't know how one place is first and the other place is fourth, other than I wasn't there to really judge too closely, but they all looked beautiful and amazing.
Yeah. And you know what? I had Laura Lee looked very great. I mean, to my eyes, she had the most athletic looking physique in bikini in that class. And I can understand Jennifer winning, but you know, in that class, things can change in 2 weeks. That can flip.
Well, they can bring very different packages. They just changing slightly.
Yeah, it can change.
And that's why I think Laura Lee, yes, very athletic looking, her musculature definition. Issa was very similar to me in that, but Issa's waist to me always grabs my attention because it's like non-existent.
Yeah.
That's why I had her winning, and I had Laura Lee second, and then I had Jennifer and Ashley vying for. Yeah. But they're all amazing. So, and I think we'll see the same girls, the same 4 as the top 4.
Yeah, I believe that.
Do you want to add anything to that at all? Or you want to move into?
You know what? Classic? Before we go to classic in bikini, you know, like I said, that can flip, because that can flip. Like I told you, that can flip. To me, Jennifer winning is not a sign that she's going to win the Olympia, even though she can. I mean, to be honest, all 4 can.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, all 4 can. So at this point, it's all going to be what are the judges we're looking at in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I don't mean to insult Jennifer at all. I think all 4 of them looked amazing, and like I said, I wasn't there. I'm glad that I'll be there and you'll be there. See it in person at the Olympia. So I'll have a really much better idea of what's going on stage. I mean, I always say when I'm at a show too, you don't know what you're looking at unless you're there. And that holds true now. I wasn't there, so I can't judge the fine details that the judges could.
And it's hard because the stage lighting at the Arnold is very dark, and we're gonna go on Classic and Open. For the darker athletes, it was hard to look and to see definition because because of the contrast of the stage, we couldn't really see the definition of certain athletes. So that's why when they say you have to be there, I believe that.
Yeah. It's interesting it must have been too. just the lighting, because typically a black backdrop is perfect for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just the way whether it's the way it was lit, I don't know, but it was dark, and I agree. It was hard to see some of the darker athletes, especially in this next category of classic physique. Some of the guys are pretty dark, including the champion. So it was kind of hard. But to talk about those guys in classic physique, the top 5. In first place, Terrence Ruffin. Second was Alex Campernero. Third was Logan Franklin. Fourth, Courage Apara. And fifth was Brian Jones. These were all guys who I thought, this is pretty much who I thought was going to be the top 5, except I kind of thought my friend Tony Tavares might crack that top 5 or top 6. He didn't. He placed 9th. Yeah, I think Terrence had it. I agree with his win. How did you feel?
Hey, you know what? Terrence made a big jump, because we saw pictures leading into the show. People were like, were going, is he going to be in shape? And he got in shape pretty fast, even though he wasn't as good as last year, but it was good enough to win. But now I believe in the next 2 weeks, it's going to get even better.
Oh, absolutely. You could see he's added muscle. He wasn't as sharp as he was last year for this show, but there's added muscle. Like, his legs look huge. His back amazing. I mean, I still think his arms would be better if they were a little bigger, but they have improved. He's fantastic. I mean, Terrence, to me, deserves his spot in the sport.
Totally.
Yeah. In second place, okay, so I kind of disagree. I agree with who was in the top 5, but I kind of had a different order of it. I had Logan Franklin in second, ahead of Alex. I just think he looked so much improved from Texas. He was sharper. His tan was perfect, I thought. Alex, to me, looked like Alex. I don't know. He looked great, but I had.
You know what? The thing with Logan, his condition was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the most conditioned guy in the lineup. He looked great. The posing looked great. I mean, your eyes were always going to him, you know, which says something about Alex. Alex is very, very, very good. Because, you know, he's very good. Because now, if we see for 2 years now, last year he won, and Terrence got second, and they flip-flopped. They flip-flopped in a field that we thought, you and I, that Alex would go lower. But as expected, you know, when you have somebody who's with Alex, who's always in shape, he's always in, he's always on. So this guy is, you know, is going to be on. The others, you never know. So with him, you know, and that's why probably with his consistency, even though if Logan would have finished second, nobody would have complained.
Yeah. So that's I want to say that too, that like, I'm not like outraged that Logan placed beneath him. I thought it was very, very close. That was the right top 3, in my opinion. But and again, I can say it again, I wasn't there. Maybe if I was, I would have been like, oh, they got it 100% right. But I was favoring Logan for second. Courage in fourth, I thought was a very strong fourth. I thought he looked great.
And that's a surprise, because you know what? I don't know anybody who would have thought that Courage would have passed Brian Jones.
Yes. I think most of us thought Brian Jones would have been the guy who Terrence was battling with, you know, for 1 and 2.
Yeah. And you know what? And you know, that's why sometimes, you know, when we look at pictures on Instagram, sometimes, not that they look good. It's sometimes misleading in the sense that you get a preconceived idea of how the guy's gonna look. And when he gets on stage not looking the way we want, like, oh my God, you know? Because I still believe he has all the goods to be good. I mean, Brian wasn't that off, and he has 2 weeks to correct it. And in 2 weeks, he can correct it, and he can move up.
I have a little bit of his legs to me, his quads. I feel like there's lacking a separation or great detail there. Great shape to them, but something about the separation. Maybe it just has to be more, that maybe he has to be more dialed in. I don't know.
I think he needs to be
Huge
more
though.
dialed in. Oh, he's
You know,
huge.
his arms are freaking amazing. His arms and his chest are just massive. I mean, that's a guy who, like, if I were to see, I might pick his physique to have just to walk around
Oh,
the
it's
earth
just
looking
oh
that
yeah,
way.
yeah. And you know what? What I'm waiting for is to see a comparison between him and Robert Timms.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. See, now there, he's got the better sweep of the quads. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. But Tim's has got better separation in the quads.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure.
That will be interesting. Yeah, I was kind of surprised by Brian Jones. It's just his condition wasn't as spot on, and Courage's condition was, I thought, very
Well, yeah. Because remember, because you know what? If you look at Courage like he's not a very wide guy, but he's very round, very full, but he's not very wide.
He's
But
not.
again, like I said to Pete, like I said, nobody would have thought because we had Courage in our lineup, but you and I, in our mind, were like, he can't. He's gonna be probably top 6, but beating
Right.
Brian, we didn't know. But you know what? Which means that he looked very, very good.
Yeah, he's excellent. In 6th place was the rookie Fabian Mayer, who won his pro card, I think, last year at the Arnold Classic Amateur.
He looked good. He looked very good.
Very good. Tony Tavares placed 9th. I was sort of surprised at that. I think his upper body looked great. His legs looked like they could have been dialed in more.
Yeah.
You know, he's got 2 weeks to improve, and I think he can do so and do better at the Olympia. Anything else you want to add about the Classic?
Danny Union.
Oh yeah, Danny. Well, I kind of think we thought that he was going to be
higher.
5 or 6 guy.
Yeah.
He was 7th. I mean, just out of that top 6. What did you think
just
about
out
it?
of it? Just out of it.
What did you think about his physique?
You know what? Danny, when he came out, Danny looked great. I mean, he looked good. But then we start comparing, because I thought he would have made first call out. But I knew it wasn't like, but when I saw the other guys, when I saw like the top 4 and all that, I went, you know what? He's missing a little something. Can he make it in 2 weeks? Yeah. But the thing again, in 2 weeks, you have added people in there. You have Chris coming in. You have Robert coming in. So it's going to be a stronger field.
Yeah, Brian.
And Brian. So I'm telling you, it's going to be hard for Danny to crack top 5 in that.
It's going to be a tough year. Yeah, it's
very tough year.
Man, it's so exciting. The Olympia is going to be so awesome. Every division is just going to be very, very, very competitive.
Absolutely.
There were no 212 at the Arnold this year. There hasn't been for a couple of years now. It's a shame because 212 is heating up, I think, really, really well. But there was men's open, and man, it was it was pretty exciting.
I mean, you know what? The excitement, I would say, because of one guy. It's one guy we're going to talk about him probably in about a couple of minutes. It's one guy that made it exciting. And like I said to people, a year ago, if somebody would have told me that Nick Walker we would be talking about Nick Walker as a possible Mr. Olympia within a year, I would have said, you guys are crazy. And now, I don't know. He's right up there.
Nick, the year before he earned his pro card, at that show that he did, I can't remember now if it was Nationals or if it was the USA.
North Americans.
Where he didn't, before he won.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember which one. I remember telling him in a message or maybe a comment that I was shocked. I thought he had the only physique in that show that looked pro level, pro ready, pro show ready.
Okay, yeah.
He didn't make it, but he did the following year. And This year, when he won the New York Pro, I wasn't that surprised. He's got a very impressive physique. But I, was saying last week when we were doing the preview that not having seen him against these top guys like Steve Kuklo and Ian Valliere and Hakeem Williams, I wasn't sure how he was going to look. And I thought he'd be in the top 5, but I just wasn't sure where. But man, I agree with the judges as I'm looking at the scorecard here that he was the unanimous. Well, yeah, he got straight first in every round, and I think he deserved it.
And you know what? To be honest, from the moment he got on stage, when I saw him pose, they made it look like it was like not tough there, but it wasn't at all. I mean, Nick was a deserving winner.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick, there's certain shots of Nick that are Olympian shots.
Yeah.
I mean, his back double bicep is Olympian. And you know what? You can put his back double bicep against anybody in the top tier of the Olympia. Anyone.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot. I mean, of course, Rami's going to be in that first lineup, but the backs that I want to see compared to Nick's in a back double bicep are William, Hottie, and Brandon.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's going to happen.
Yeah, those 4 guys in a back double bicep. I cannot wait to see and to see who is the best, because they all have great back double biceps.
And you know what the thing is his front double is amazing. His arms are just ginormous. Like I would say, you know what? If you look at him, the only shots where like his front lat spread is not awesome. But his side shots are great. That back double, forget it. Most muscular, forget it.
I would say that his lat spreads are his two worst poses that he has. They're not bad poses at all, I don't think, but they're not his strength. His strength, that front double bicep, the back double bicep, and his side shots are crazy. And his most muscular.
It's crazy. Yeah.
His ab and thigh shot, he's got great abs. They're deeply etched, but his shape doesn't make it the best shot in the world for him. He can beat some guys with it, of course, but it's not one of his best shots. The front double bicep, his arms are like Paco Batista. They remind me very much of Batista.
Oh, yeah. It's, you know what? It's to a point that if you look at it, his biceps are higher than his shoulders.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
Great shape. Yeah. I mean, I could probably spend an hour just talking about his physique and what I think he's going to do at the Olympia. But interesting things happened during the show. The top 2 at pre-judging, it was clear. Well, first I'll just say who the top 5 or 6 were of the show. In first place was Nick Walker. Second place was Ian Valliere. Third place was Steve Kuklo. Fourth place, Justin Rodriguez, at his best ever, I believe. Fifth place, Hakeem Williams. Mm-hmm. And in 6th was Sergio Oliva Jr. A very strong top 6 in terms of the name power and talent. The order was not what I thought it would be at the show, but they were the 6 that I thought would be in the top 6, just different order than what I kind of thought was going to happen. And pre-judging, it was very clear that the top 2 at that time were Nick and Steve Kuklo.
Yes.
And looking at the scorecard, they scored 5 and 10. In 3rd and 4th, it was closer between Ian and Justin, as Ian had 16 points instead of 15. If it had been the even 5, not even, that's an odd number, but I mean, if all 5 points had gone to him, and Justin was at 19 points instead of 20, so there was a closer gap between those guys. People are kind of confused as to why I've been seeing comments on my Instagram page that it would be that it was odd that at finals it ended so obvious that the top two were Steve and Nick, but then when we got to the confirmation round of scoring, Ian was automatically put in the mix in a top three call out. The way I think that that can be explained is that in between judging and the confirmation score round of scoring, there was what is called the routine round. In the routine round, and this has been explained to me, not one-on-one, but at seminars by Steve Weinberger, what the judges are actually doing, they're not just judging they're not judging at all the artistic nature of the routine. They are judging the physique during the routine. The routine gives the athlete the ability to choose what poses he's hitting. He doesn't have to hit the 8 mandatory poses. He can pick his strong poses. He can avoid his weak poses and put it together the way to best highlight his physique. What I imagine must have happened, I don't think Steve faded, because I've seen pictures of him right before finals and right before prejudging. He was actually, if anything, a little sharper at finals. What I imagine probably happened is what I saw happen with my own eyes at Texas, and that's Ian just sharpens up like crazy as he goes along.
And you know what? For people that say that the judges do not judge at the confirmation round, you got another like example of, you know what? The show is not over, and Ian has been doing this for a second time. He did that in Texas. He's doing it now, like he calls himself Mr. Saturday Night.
Yeah,
which is funny, but because it's a Phil Heath thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would say kudos to him, because now people, you know what? Ian as an amazing year. It's an amazing year. I mean, this year, Ian right now just put himself in the realm of like top tier bodybuilders.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, you won Tampa, you won Texas against Steve in his hometown, and you got second at the Arnold. And if we look at it, if Nick wasn't there, you would have won the Arnold. It's a pretty amazing year.
Yeah.
And some people don't like his physique, and that's up to them, but somehow the judges love him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in my personal opinion, going into the Texas Pro, I didn't think he was going to be too much of a threat to Steve. I mean, I thought he would be second place probably, but I thought Steve has just got a very impressive structure. He's not really missing any parts, and there's some parts that Ian is missing. He doesn't have great calves. He doesn't have great triceps. His chest isn't great in terms of thickness. But, and this is what I've said it a million times now, that he is one of those guys that you have to see in person to understand why he is doing as well as he's doing. He's a freak when it comes to that grainy look, that hardness that he gets. It's very, very impressive to see. So going in at the Texas Pro, I had Steve winning clearly at prejudging, but at finals, Ian just hardened up as he went. Now, watching the show on TV, this show, the Arnold Classic, I had Steve in second place. I had him in second place at the end of finals. And I was kind of surprised, but not really, when the judges had it the other way around. Because I wasn't not super surprised, because on TV, you cannot see all the things that happen on Ian's physique, which I've seen now live in person, sitting right behind the judges in Texas. And that when he gets super hard and dry, as he's posing more and more, all those little veins pop out, all the sinews of his muscles pop out, and his physique really, really comes alive. Could it have gone the other way? I'm sure. Steve is massive.
For sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
Steve is huge, and I like it could have gone that way, and I thought it was going to go that way because I thought being so close, and you know, Ian going to the Olympia and already winning 2 shows, I thought they might give it second place to Steve, so he would at least gotten the bigger paycheck and more points towards next year's Olympia. But it didn't go that way, and you know, I know some people talk about politics and stuff, but I don't know what the politics would be there. You know, there's nothing, there's no gain, nothing to gain for the
There's nothing to gain in there. You know what? I mean, by saying that, it's like trying to discredit Ian. Ian beat now Steve two time in a row now. Okay? And he beat 2 different versions of Steve. Okay? And in both cases, Ian started slow and finished strong in both cases. And he won both shows. I mean, I'm not saying that, I mean, physically speaking, Steve has a lot more going than Ian, a lot more going. But in bodybuilding, I mean, sometimes it happens, and I'll give you a perfect example. Brent Warren. Brent Warren wasn't the most gifted guy. But did he win a lot of shows? Yes, he did. Did he beat guys that were better than him physically speaking? Yes, he did. And he did that regularly. Okay, so basically, what Ian is doing is basically, he's coming in 100% of himself, and he gets the job done. And now Steve is at a point now, if he wants to beat Ian, he has to be 100%. 99, 98, you're going to lose. Because that's what happened.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because, I mean, I do think Steve was at his best. And when you look at the body, if you take it body part for body part, it should add up to
better.
But
Steve is better.
Yeah, but there's something that happens visually, especially when you're up close, and you can see those things happen. It's like what I've always heard about Dorian Yates too. You had to see him to believe him, and that's what Ian's like. I have a feeling that Nick is that way too, although he was very impressive on the video as well on TV. But man, I'm really looking forward to seeing Nick live and in person. I think it's going to be.
Oh yeah, to me, you know what? You know what's great now is that we have because we're going back to Nick because anyways, and Nick, what's good about Nick is now, you know what, because we have to talk about him for a very reason. Nick is young and he's bringing a lot of young people now because he's young. Okay. And and you know what? I'm glad that he was in the show that he won, because now, you know, we know now that he's part of the upper echelon. Now we can know for now, Nick Walker. And it's good because you know what? I feel like Nick and Ian are both winners of that show.
Yeah.
Both of them. Because you know what? If you look at it, Steve is already established. Ian, by finishing second this year and beating Steve twice, just put himself up there. And Nick just put himself in contention of the Olympia, which is something that, so in that show, if you look at it from that standpoint, you had 2 winners. Yeah. I mean, Ian finished in second and what's his name? And Nick. Yeah. That's what I think. And now you have the other guys, like we're going to speak about Justin. And Justin did good, by the way, because we did not have Justin that high at the show.
Yeah, this was Justin's best. His back has improved incredibly. He's always had amazing biceps. I think his legs can add a little more size. If he does just a little more size to the legs, he's going to do very, very well. I mean, he could be winning big. Well, he does win shows, but he could win big shows.
Bigger show, yeah.
I thought his stomach was a little distended in the finals. I felt the same about Sergio Oliva, who I thought had a really good chance of winning the show going in. He was just not 100% in condition. He was big. He's added a lot of muscle to his frame. Probably next to Steve, was the biggest guy. Well, I don't know. There was also Akeem Williams, but who was also not 100% himself.
No.
To talk about Sergio Oliva, there was some confusion about how could he have placed, let's see, in what was called the routine round. There were a number of guys who placed ahead of Sergio. How does that happen? And he wins best poser, and this is how that happens. Like I said before, Steve Weinberger has clarified that what the judges are looking at during the routine round is not the artistic quality of the routine, but they are looking at the quality of the physique, and that is what they are judging. Because some judges might like classical music, slow moving stuff. Others might like heavy metal with like just a lot of power shots. There's no way to judge that. But what they do is, I guess for this best poser award, I'm not sure who's picking that, whether that's the judges just voting for one guy, because they're obviously not grading all 10 guys in terms of who had the best posing routine. They're just picking what they think was the most artistic, I guess, to win that title.
And you know what? I'll tell you something, okay? In the open, best poser was easy because nobody posed. I mean, in the open, nobody did. I mean, you know what? That's the thing I wanted to say. Sergio got the easiest 10K ever because nobody posed.
It's
no one. I mean, let's face it. Classic. I mean, Logan won the 10K there, which was great, and all the guys in Classic, you see that they take time to create something.
Right.
Basically, the open guy, and I love the open guys. It was basically a guest posing of everyone.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Even Nick. Nick did not do a routine. Nick hit basically most musculars and side shots, and that's it. And took his tongue out. And I'm not discrediting him. I'm just saying, you know what? For people to try to judge the posing round, it was easy. Sergio was the only one that did something good. The only one.
Yeah. Right. So to judge who the best poser was, not who had the best physique during the posing round, but who was the best poser, very easy in this division. Classic, it was hard. And I'm a fan of Logan's, and like I said, I had him in second place, not third place for the show, physique wise. Routine, again, was amazing routine. But I favored Terrence Ruffin's.
Okay, yeah. And you know what? I mean, honestly, I'm sure it was between the two.
Had to be.
Logan pose is very good. I mean, Logan is very good, very good. And you know what? I remember because the first time I saw Logan do his first Classic show when he did Tempo in 2019. And he was coming out of Men's Physique. And I wasn't on the Logan train. Because I was like, what is he trying? I mean, at that show got third or fourth, if I remember correctly. Okay? But he improved. And you know, now, honestly, now, Logan, within a year, because Logan's going to do the Olympia again. I mean, this year wasn't his year there, but I do believe, I don't know if there's other shows after the Olympia. If I were him, like Sergio, there's other shows after the Olympia. Hit those. Yeah. Get the qualification done, and then you have a whole year now to prepare for the Olympia. Do exactly what Reagan Grimes did, and what Brad and what's his name, James Hollingshead did. Yeah. James, and you know what?
That's someone I can't wait to see him at the Olympia.
You're talking the same thing.
Him. You know what? All about James.
That's the thing. And to me, I was like you seen on subject. This guy is the dark horse of the show, because nobody talks about him, nobody says nothing about him, and this guy is something else.
James, we're talking about?
James is
For
something
the
else.
yeah.
Okay. James to me, and probably to you also, James is an easy top 10 guy.
Oh yeah.
Easy. And you know what? He can hurt a lot of people. A lot of people.
He's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
He's had a lot of time to improve, and he made vast improvements last year. His back had improved incredibly from the year before, and I just can't wait to see the improvements he's made in a year's time when we see him at the Olympia. And he knows how to get in shape. He comes
he
in.
knows that. He's good.
So with his size, he's a single digit guy, I think, at the Olympia.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. I mean, for sure. And you know what? Going back to Justin and all that, because to him, Justin also has a good year. And Justin, you know what? It was funny when they called out the first call out, and he was shushing the crowd, like going like this to the crowd. Because I believe that a lot of people did not see him in the first call out. We did not see him in the first call out.
Right. Well, we also and that's something I should have brought up at the beginning. We also had, William Bonac winning, but unfortunately,
oh my God. Okay, you know what? Because we passed it because but you know what? Here's my question now. Would William have beaten Nick? And that's the $1 million question that everybody's asking now. Okay. We'll know in 2 weeks. Exactly in 2 weeks.
That's it.
In 2 weeks we'll know. But you know what? But one thing I know for sure, if William would have been at the show, I don't think Ian beats William. I mean, let's be honest there. I mean, no. I mean, no. I mean, unless William comes in really like off. I mean, I don't think so. Because William is still William. But it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. His physique and the three guys who I want to see, like I already said, the four guys I want to see in the back double bicep are Brandon, William, Hadi, and Nick. Those four guys, it's going to be really interesting to see Nick next to those other guys. It's really going to be. And listen, I'm going to go out on the line and say it right now. Nick Walker has as good a chance as anyone to be Mr. Olympia 2021, in my personal opinion. I mean, I think we saw something really special. I mean, he came into this lineup where everyone was going, he could be 6th, 4th, 5th, maybe 3rd, and he was the clear number 1. Of course, there was no.
You know what? Let's face it. He decimated the field.
Yeah.
I mean, he made it look. I mean, and we're talking about great bodybuilders, great ones. The 2021 Mr. Olympia. Oh boy. Because you know history like I do. Nobody has done that except Larry Scott, but that doesn't count.
Right. I mean, somebody had to be first, right?
That doesn't count. I mean, Dorian got 2nd. Kevin got 2nd.
Bill got 3rd. Lee got 3rd.
Bill got 3rd. But they ended up winning after. I mean, we're talking about Phil and Lee there. And you know what? You know why we're saying that? Because in our mind, we don't see Ronnie as a sure bet at the Olympia. Because I can tell you right now, if it would have been Phil, we would not have this discussion. But it's because of Ronnie not being consistent. That's the reason why we say that. Because if it would have been Phil or somebody else, we would have said, you know what, Nick is going to be a great top 3, but we would have never said Nick winning the Olympia.
Well, let's do this then, because we don't know what's going to happen in 2 weeks. Rami could be the best Rami we've ever seen.
Oh, for sure.
Nick could be, I think Nick will be better. Nick was better at this show than he was when he won the New York Pro. Same body weight, by the way. I listened to Giles Thomas and
I did too, yeah.
And Ron Harris today, and he was the same body weight. He was 248 at both the New York Pro and the Arnold.
And Arnold,
He looked bigger here because he was harder here, and it just his proportions are getting better. People are questioning about his proportions. He's got a wide waist.
No.
So did Jay Cutler, who won 4 Mr. Olympia titles. So I think their plan is to come in a couple pounds lighter. And if he comes in a couple pounds lighter, his shape's going to be even better. He's going to be really hard to beat. So let's just say, but let's not talk about what could be. Let's talk about what has been, right? So we know what Ronnie looked like last year, and we know what Nick looked like this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Those two guys face each other. Who wins?
Right now, I say Ronnie, and I'll tell you why. Size-wise, and there's certain shots that Ronnie's front last spread is, we can't touch him. Ronnie's back last spread, we can't touch him because he's too big. He's way too big. But you know what? Here's my thing though. Nick is gonna give him something to talk about.
Yeah. Nick has got the better proportions, better balance.
Yes.
Than Rami, but and Nick is a freak, but Rami is like next level freak. He is.
There you go. Exactly.
When you get to the legs, it's just craziness. And whether you like this, I don't like his legs in terms of, I feel they overpower certain things, but in certain shots, they're just undeniable. And from the side, the separation he had last year, the depth amazing. It's crazy. So, but anyway, yeah. It's going to be hard to beat Rami if Rami's as good, if not that. For
sure. But like we said, Rami right now. I mean, you see the Olympia because we're going to talk about Akeem as top 6 are. Rami now. I mean, this show is funny because now certain people have to prove themselves. Now Rami has to prove that last year wasn't like a shot in the dark and lightning struck and we won. He has to prove that. Right. And now he's going into a field that I feel is stronger than last year.
Yes. In a way, yes.
In a way. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how, you know what I'm saying now? It's funny how one guy can change the whole field. Nick is changing the whole thing now. Because last year, nobody saw it coming. Because remember, last year we were into the Phil heat coming in. Okay, yeah. And now Phil's not there. So now there's a spot open. But nobody thought that spot would be filled by Nick Walker. And Nick not only is going to probably fill that spot, but Nick is going to hurt a lot of people in the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't think that none of the guys that were at the Arnold are going to beat him in 2 weeks. None of them.
No, I agree. I mean, I think this I feel like this show we've been kind of all over the place because I keep wanting to talk about the Olympia and
yeah. But
but it is what it is. People just deal with it anyway. I think there's still like Akeem Williams placing 5th in the show. He was 6th at the Olympia. And I thought, and everyone thought, if he improved his conditioning a little bit, he could win this Arnold. Things can change between now and 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from the Arnold, 10 days from now, or whatever it is. He might do very, very well for himself.
You know what? Akeem looked like someone who was dialing in for the Olympia.
Yes.
But here's my question now. If Akeem comes in like last year, Akeem does not beat Nick.
No.
Okay? And I go like that. And last year, that was his best.
Not only that, I would think that if he comes in like he did last year and Ian comes in like I saw him in Texas, I think Ian beats Akeem.
I think so too. But here's the thing though. If he can't sharpen up like a lot. Structurally speaking, Akeem should beat these two guys.
Yeah, and he can. It's
And he
possible.
can. He can.
It's possible.
He can. He can. I mean, I'm not discounting Akeem at all by saying that, because he can. But now here's, like I was saying before, at the Olympia now, we're at a point where, you know what? Your structure is not enough to win. You have to be 100%. Because even 99, you're losing.
Yeah.
And now with a guy like Nick, and Ian, who are not as gifted as Akeem, they come in sharp and they beat Akeem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and Justin Rodriguez, this chance he could do very well for himself this year.
Yes. Yes.
You know, he beat Akeem. That's kind of crazy.
That's
and he beat Sergio. I didn't think Sergio, you know, look, Sergio, to me, it was like, I don't know, something happened in those last days or hours or minutes before the show. I don't know how it all works, but something happened where he just didn't nail it. But
no, I didn't.
I think, you know, he has made improvements to his physique in terms of size. He had a little bit of trouble controlling the stomach too, a little bit. The stomach was out there. But I still feel, you know, he's going to be doing the Legion Sports Fest in late October, I think it is.
He's doing that good. Because I was listening to Giles Thomas, and Giles said something, and I give him credit. He said, if I was Sergio, I would do the shows after the Olympia. Yeah. And if he does that, he's going to win one.
Yeah. He just needs just little tweaks.
Just a bit.
I still have a strong belief in Sergio's physique.
Me too.
And his desire, and I believe in him. So I believe all these guys.
He looks like his dad. Like when he does that most muscular, it's Sergio.
Yeah, the most muscular, especially. Listen, do we want to talk about the commentating? No, let's not talk about the commentating.
Okay, you know what? I'll go. It might sound controversial. I'll tell you what, okay? I've listened to Every Muscle Radio, okay? And they were praising the commentating, saying that they were happy that Arnold was there because Arnold was like a kid talking about bodybuilding. And I got that. But I will say it, and I don't care because I'm nobody, I don't care. Arnold and the vacuum and the calves and Steve Reeves and Chuck Sips or whatever he talked about. I mean, you know what? At one point, and I love Cedric. Basically, Cedric and Arnold just took over the show.
Yeah, it was a love fest, and it had nothing to do with the guys on stage. It had to do with each other's adoration of each other, and like you said, calves and vacuums.
Calves and vacuums, and you know, even some of his comments were good. But you know what? To me, when I see commentating and bodybuilding, yes, let's talk about history, but I want to talk about the athletes going in, what they're doing, what they've been doing before.
There's a way of talking about the past without putting down the present. And
exactly.
And you use a way of criticizing the present without, through creative criticism, without diminishing it. And I felt that was what was being done. That men's open bodybuilding was kind of that, it wasn't high lit, let's put it that way.
And you know what? And the way he said it, you know what? At one point, Arnold said something. I mean, okay, hold on. When Cedric told Arnold, he said that the classic guys were like Arnold back in the 70s. Arnold said, do you mean that, man, these guys had no calves?
Yeah, you know? Again, he couldn't even praise them 100%. No. It was unfortunate to me. I found it unfortunate, and there's a lot that I could say about Arnold that, Arnold, to me, I've always thought was the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And I'm not going to change my opinion.
No. I'm not saying that.
But there comes a time when it's time to.
And you know what? At one point, they were talking about technology, right? Like what these people put in their bodies and all that. And you know what? And I didn't like that because you know what? Because Arnold did the same thing. And if Arnold would be Arnold in 2021, Arnold would be probably doing the same thing that these guys are doing today.
Right.
You did it 4 years ago.
He did the height of what was possible back then.
Possible at that time.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, and I felt bad. I mean, Dennis James, the most knowledgeable guy there in terms of what's going on now and who is who. I don't know if Arnold knows everybody's name that was competing. And Dennis James was forced to just shut up. It was kind of.
And you know what? The thing is, I would love to see Jose in there because Jose has a very good sense of bodybuilding today. He knows a lot of things. I mean, and I get Arnold. You know what? I know by saying that, it's like I'm not saying Arnold is stupid at all. Arnold is the greatest of all time. Yes, he is. Is he iconic? Yes, he is. But if somebody does something that is not good, you have to call it out on him. I'm not diminishing what he did in the past. I'm just saying that, you know what? The commentating, I mean, at one point, we couldn't even enjoy the posing because they were talking so much.
And not about even what was going on.
No, not relevant.
Yeah, but I don't want to put it down too much because I still want to get press passes next year.
Yeah, I know. But it's on me.
Yeah, no, but the show was if the show itself for the audience was amazing. I thought that I liked the lighting and I thought the stage looked cool. The photographs that Jeff Robinson, I've been using his photos exclusively for the show because I think that they were the light. He captured images perfectly, in my opinion. So I think there have been some photographers who for the show were having trouble with the lighting, from what I've heard. But he nailed it. So and I think others did too. So yeah, the show itself was great. The commentating.
You know what? One thing also, I want to commend Arnold on one thing though. For him to have been able to let the athletes and have the Arnold, even though with everything that's going on in the world, he held the show, and I commend him on that 100%.
Yes, 100%. You're right. It was great that it happened, and they had this venue and an outlet to compete and make good money. You know, Nick, wow, he just turned 27.
27.
Made $130,000. Pretty good.
It's a good year. You know, it's a good year. And you know what? It's a good year for him because we're still talking about him. And I would say it's going to have like a lot of people asking for him. A lot of people. You know what? We're going to be at the Media Olympians. His line is going to be pretty long.
Yeah, I think he skyrocketed to the top of superstardom, and he deserves it. And I want to mention his coach too, Matt Jensen, who was just. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's got the 212 Olympia champion Sean Clarita. He's just had such tremendous success, and he's going to do great things with Nick. He already has.
He already has. I mean, you know what? It's to a point, I believe now, they can't go wrong.
Yeah.
They can't go wrong. Unless something happens, you and I know that his name's going to be in the first call-up for sure.
Yeah.
That's a given. You know?
I want to also mention quickly, I feel like this show's kind of been all over the place, and maybe it's not my best. But I want to mention Ronnie Coleman Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh.
Is there anyone more deserving than Ronnie Coleman for a Lifetime Achievement Award? I don't think so.
No, none. I mean, the speech, the way, I mean, you know what? It's Ronnie.
Yeah, it was
It's Ronnie.
great.
I mean, it's Ronnie. It's Ronnie. And you know what? We look at Ronnie. Ronnie in his mind never saw himself as a Miss Olympia. He's only a guy that loved lifting weights, and you know what? Things happened, and that was not in his call to win the Olympia. But the way he said it, the way he put over his mom and all that, you know, you can't touch Ronnie. You can't. I mean, it's Ronnie.
Probably the most beloved figure in the history of bodybuilding, I would think.
For sure.
You know,
You know what? For sure. The most
yeah.
beloved, the most dominating Olympia ever. I mean, honestly speaking, Ronnie, with that speech, Ronnie probably made so many more believe out of him, even though like he didn't need it because it's Ronnie, you know.
Yeah, he's just so loved, and yeah, it was there's no one more deserving, I think, of that award than Ronnie Coleman. So I was happy to see that, and it was really great to see him and Arnold on stage together. It's to see Arnold handing that award to him. It's like those are the two guys who I think for different generations were
Yeah.
you know, the best, and to this day, just icons, and will always be.
Oh, for sure. I mean, these two guys are like we can't. I mean, that's something we probably. Like I said, I mean, we were lucky to see Phil.
Oh yeah.
We were lucky to see Phil. We were lucky to see Ronnie, but Ronnie now is just in a different like sky or whatever you may call it. I mean, with that, I mean, Ronnie's like, you know what? Whatever Ronnie will do in his life, Ronnie will always be snapped the great of all time, all the time. By this generation for sure, and next coming for sure.
Yeah. It was great stuff. It was a great show. I there were some things that I was a little surprised with, but not all of it was unpleasant surprises. I'm a Steve Kuclo fan, and I really wanted him to win this show. I think, like I said, he could have easily been second, but first place was definitely Nick Walker, and kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next week we're gonna have to do an Olympia preview.
Oh Lord. Oh boy.
We can do it. We can do it, or maybe we just wait till I get to Orlando on. Well,
yeah, you know what? Let's do one next week for sure. Next week. We could probably next week, like on Monday next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, Greg. Thank you so much for doing this, and for being part of this.
Sorry, like I told, I was kind of busy today. I mean, like I was all over the place, but you know what? I thought I would make it. I made it.
Yeah,
and we went over an hour, which is even better.
Oh wow. Yeah, I think I honestly feel like this wasn't me at my best. I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but whatever. It is what it is. Next week will be more concise in dealing with just the Olympia.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
My
you.
My pleasure.
Everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Tell your friends and family and your enemies even to subscribe to This Is Bodybuilding on YouTube. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace out.